AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Matt.
Hey, Will.
Hey, bud.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Talk some SEC baseball every Monday with David Dellucci from the SEC Network, co-host of Rally Cat. Good enough to hang out with us here. How are you, Luch?
I'm doing great, Matt. Can I start this off on a positive note?
I would love that.
Before we jump into something, I want to send a shout out to Brooks Wright, former Catholic High baseball player.
Let's go.
I was on the road doing some studying, and the ESPN game came on. Brooks Wright at Southeastern hit number 1 and number 2 home runs on the year. If you're going to have a career day, you do it on an ESPN night. So that was pretty cool to watch him do that.
I love it, man. Brooks Wright, twins, twin brothers, of course, love the Wright family, great people, and happy for Brooks. That's great to hear, man. Pretty good football players, too, back in the day, Luch, as I recall.
You got to love those multi-sport athletes.
Yeah, very, very. And I know they didn't get their height from their dad. We'll say it to you that way. Peter's a great dude, but I don't know where the height from the twins came. But anyway, congrats to Brooks. That's great news. Not great news, of course, is LSU getting swept. Luch, give me a percentage chance of LSU making it to a regional.
Oh, it's dropping every weekend. Still got a chance. I've seen bigger comebacks. We keep going back to Florida and Ole Miss and years past. Look, they ran into a buzzsaw, man. They ran into a Texas A&M team that played really, really well. So they were hot coming off of a 2-game sweep against the University of Texas the weekend before, and LSU just couldn't solve A&M's pitching. LSU hit, I want to say, sub 200 with runners on base for the series. That's not going to get a win. And you got to see an offense on display that's probably one of the hotter offenses in the country, behind maybe North Carolina or Georgia Tech. So put that behind you. I think LSU still has a good chance. They always show up in Hoover. And if they can finish strong, there's still a lot of games left and a good showing in Hoover. They've got a chance. But what really worries me right now is an RPI at 67. So they're going to have to pull that up tremendously. Even if the wins are there, the RPI is going to have to climb a lot.
Well, if the wins are there with the 12 games you have remaining in conference, the RPI will cooperate. It's just a question of if you can actually get the wins at this point, Luch. There's not a very good team. You're right. LSU was 7 for 40 with runners on base. That was 175, and they were 0-59 with runners in scoring position. So you're not going to win a lot. What makes you think that is there anything you've seen that makes you believe they can find a way to get their head above water here over these final 12 games?
It is a program that has too deep of tradition to count them out. And that's the deal. And look, we all heard Jay Johnson's comments post game, and they're very valid, very valid. I think the transfer portal, you're starting to see the warts of the transfer portal, not only at this program but other programs. It doesn't solve everything, and The other, and I'm not making excuses, but we also saw Ole Miss take a tumble after they won the national championship. Mississippi State take a tumble after they won the national championship. That portal opening up, I don't think is a good time frame for that either. But it's a program that has too much pride, and I think they're going to kick it in gear. You need some leaders to stand up, to be vocal, to take positions that they normally wouldn't, and get this thing back on track. Because it's one thing to lose ball games, it's another to lose them in the fashion that the Tigers are losing them in. It's fundamental baseball that they're having trouble with right now. Wild pitches are killing them, and not being able to make the routine plays. And I think they can clean that up. They've got enough time.
Tigers go to Mississippi State, who swept South Carolina this weekend. But South Carolina and Missouri are the dredges of the league. Both got swept this weekend by Mississippi State and Oklahoma, respectively. You did have some heavyweight fights this weekend, and I was going to be fascinated to see what happened with Georgia and Arkansas. And my goodness, Luch, what Georgia did to Arkansas in Game 3 was just jaw-dropping. They scored 26 runs on them. I mean, are we just Georgia's number 5 in the country, so I don't want to say they're being disrespected or slept on, but I feel like when we talk about national contenders, maybe we don't talk about Georgia enough. Like, where do you stand on Georgia as a legitimate national championship contender?
You have to put them in the conversation, and I don't know why no one has really talked about how good they are offensively. Everybody, the excuse is always you got to have good pitching. You saw LSU last year, 2 frontline aces. Yes, they do put you in position to win ball games. Everybody talks about how big Ameritrade is, or the Chuck is at in Omaha, and how you have to be able to pitch to win ball games over there. But you got to have offense to get out of regionals and super regionals, especially if Georgia is going to host. They don't want to end their season at home like they did the last 2 years. This offense can slug with anybody in the country. I mean, Daniel Jackson is in conversations for being a potential Triple Crown winner in the SEC. Only 2 players have ever done that before. And then behind him, it's just a slew of guys that are hitting over 350, and they're going to make a run at breaking the home run record once again, 3 years in a row. And so Wes Johnson, known to be a pitching guru, has figured something out on the offensive side too. And if I'm Georgia, their starting pitching is hit or miss, but they have the offense that can cover them if the starters only give them a couple innings. It's a deep bullpen, but they're going to score double-digit runs every time they play somebody.
It was a road series win for the Bulldogs up in Fayetteville. For Auburn, they went on the road to Gainesville and took a series against Florida, who continues their sort of Jekyll and Hyde act this season. More impressed with Auburn, or maybe concerned Florida losing the series at home?
Florida just depends on the team in the weekend. Yeah, they're really good, very similar to LSU. Auburn, I'll tell you, is a top-notch pitching staff. Their starting rotation is extremely good. They throw strikes. We highlighted them on Rally Cap 2 weeks ago. I mean, their walks-to-strike ratio is off the chart. They're going to pound the strike zones. And that's what that program is, and what Butch Thompson has done. They don't rely on the transfer portal. They've got 3 or 4 sophomores that were good freshmen last year that's moved up to be superstars. They're being led by 3 freshmen this year. They're just really good players. They depend heavily on the starting rotation and muster up just enough offense to get the wins.
Luch, there's this clump of teams at 10-8. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn, Oklahoma, after their sweep this weekend, and then Florida. If you look at those 5 and I asked you, which one do you think is the most legitimate contender among those 5? Who would you throw out?
I'm gonna go with Mississippi State. I got a chance to watch them in person. I announced their Game 2 against South Carolina, and watching Tomas Valinquez, their Game 1 starter, in person was really impressive. And then calling the game with Duke Stone, Game 2 starter, was equally, if not more, impressive. And when you have a 1-2 punch like that, State pitching staff struck out 44 batters on the weekend, and the 2 starters between the 2 were 23 strikeouts between the 2. Offensively, very mature offense, Ace Reese had a great showing. Noah Sullivan had a great showing. They had a late sub, Blake Beavis, in game 2. He only went 3 for 4 with a home run, and then came back game 3, hit another home run. So they're very deep, very experienced. Brian O'Connor, he also is an extremely good coach that has been there and done that. He led Virginia to 18 NCAA appearances. So that's the team that I would really look for making that strong run into the NCAA tournament.
David Dellucci, SEC Network, co-host of Rally Cat. Catch it Sundays after all the action wraps up with the weekend that was. Luch, is there anything? I'm a little perplexed on Ole Miss. Went to Knoxville, took 2 out of 3 from the Vols, a team that continues to struggle like LSU. Where are you as far as believing in Ole Miss as a team that can maybe make a run? Because the record is cooperating now.
The record is, and the pitching has been really good. They've gotten out of Hunter Elliott and also Cade Townsend, their number 2 starter. I mean, Cade Townsend is now being discussed in the pitcher of the year conversation. So those 2 guys on the mound, it gives you a chance. And we mentioned this earlier on. Ole Miss is going to have a lot of swing and miss, a lot, and you just got to deal with it if you're an Ole Miss fan. But at the same time, they're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And Tristan Becerra and Judd Utermark are 2 behemoths at the plate, and they are absolutely on fire. So it's a team that is going to ride a hot streak. They'll have peaks and valleys, but right now they're on a hot streak. And you know, the guys that really watch this sport are talking about maybe the Rebels ended up in Omaha again. I think if they stay hot, they have that kind of firepower on offense.
He's David Dellucci, good enough to talk a little SEC baseball with us here every Monday on AFR. Luch, we always appreciate you, man. Thanks for the time.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, man. Be well. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. No matter your age or your refractive issue, tell you all the time, just book an appointment. Just book an appointment. And what's so impressive as well is when you talk to Dr. Blake, he's going to come up with a plan for you specifically that can last the rest of your life. You'll talk about, okay, like for me, I had LASIK, it's been almost 8 years now. And sometimes people say, well, LASIK wears off. No, it doesn't. LASIK changes the shape of your eye, but it only affects about 10% of your eye. So your eye will continue to age. So you'll have other issues that could pop up. Well, if you have LASIK now, what's something that if your eye starts to age, what's something that might be an option in 5 or 10 or 20 years down the line that could help keep you out of contacts and glasses forever? Like, that's going to be my approach. So that's why I always say, no matter your age or your refractive issue, there is an option for you to be able to ditch the contacts and glasses and to just see 2020. Dr. Blake Williamson makes that happen every single day for people in our communities. WilliamsonEye.com, Williamson, EYE.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. NFL Draft is this weekend. Jordan Reed at ESPN put out his final mock draft. It's a 7-round mock draft, and it's so interesting to look at that and to compare and contrast it with what a group of scouts projected as their top 10 picks in this draft. We'll get to that as we continue here. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
I think it should be illegal for temperatures to be in the 40s in late April. We should pass that law at the legislature. It's time for us to be swimming in our pools from Duplessis Pools. That's what we should be doing right now. Not putting on long sleeves in the morning. In the meantime, we can dream. And Duplessis Pools helps make your dreams reality. Step out into your outdoor space. You want a pool? Duplessis Pools can make that happen. Last year, they were voted a top 50 pool builder in America, not in Baton Rouge, not in Louisiana, in the entire United States of America, because of the quality, the level of customer service that they provide. A lot of people will build you a beautiful pool that will last with a great customer service experience. DuplessisBuilders.net.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Last Dance with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain.
It's interesting that her name is Mary Jane. That's why it's interesting. It's just the lady's name, that's all.
Good name, too. I like that name. Mary Jane.
I bet you do, Panama
MJ.
Red. Musso's having himself a great day. After all, it's his day.
It's just a Monday, Matt. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's just a Monday.
Draft week. They had over at ESPN.com, they asked anonymously a group of scouts to predict the first 10 picks of the draft. So for example, they said like an AFC East area scout has Fernando Mendoza going to the Raiders, then an AFC South area scout taking Arvell Reese 2 with the Jets. If you're not familiar, like every organization has area scouts, right? So this is true in all sports. So it says AFC South area scout. So an AFC South team, one of those four, they'll have area scouts. Some might have the Southeast, or some may have the Northwest, or whatever. So that's your area. So you scout high school talent or college talent or JUCO talent or whatever. And so they asked all these people to anonymously select the top 10 picks. David Bailey, 3 to the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love, 4 to the Titans. Carnell Tate, 5 to the Giants. Francis Maui Noah, 6 to the Browns. Sonny Styles, 7 to Washington. And I thought this was fascinating for New Orleans. So this was an AFC area scout who had the Saints going cornerback at 8, but not Mansour Delane. Jermon McCoy of Tennessee, 8, as the pick for the New Orleans Saints. They note that the Saints' top 3 needs are edge rusher, wide receiver, and cornerback. And they have the Saints going with McCoy. The scout said, quote, "Rarely do you find true blue-chip cornerbacks, and when one falls to you, it's an easy decision to take them off the board." He writes, "So I'll take McCoy with the belief that his knee is good long-term, and he'll be back to the player we saw in 2024 when he was the best cornerback in the nation." If you're not familiar, McCoy tore his ACL last January, missed the entire season while rehabbing. So that is a bit of a leap of faith there if you would go McCoy, having not played this past season, over Mansour Delane. By the way, they had Reuben Bain going 9 to the Chiefs, and then Caleb Downs 10 to the Bengals, which is a good illustration of how a draft can unfold, because I think overwhelmingly most people assume Caleb Downs is one of the 10 best players in the draft and will likely be a top 10 pick. Now, you don't often see safety as a premium position. So it's rare that you see a safety go in the top 10. It would have to literally be someone like Jamal Adams that is a transcendent player at that position, because there isn't great positional value, almost like interior offensive linemen. You just don't often see interior offensive linemen go in the top 10s. You see quarterbacks and edge rushers and left tackles and elite level cornerbacks. That's typically what you see go in the top 10. So interesting to see what may happen. It's why I look at New Orleans at 8, and I'm excited about the Saints if they're patient and let the draft come to them, because there's going to be a player, an elite player at a great position of need that'll be on the board for New Orleans, possibly multiple players at their positions of need. So with that context, from a scout's context, then you look at what Jordan Reed in his final mock draft from ESPN, your draft analysts. Everyone's got Mendoza going 1, Arvell Reese 2, Francis Maui Noah 3, David Bailey 4, Sonny Styles 5 to the Giants. There's Carnell Tate 6 to Cleveland. Keep in mind, Jeremiah Love, according to this mock draft, still not off the board, but they do take him off the board at 7 to the Washington Commanders. Would be fascinating to see if that would in fact play out. And Jordan Reed does have the Saints also going cornerback, except he has the Saints going Mansour Delane with the 8th pick, and Reuben Bain a pick later to the Chiefs. So this is, to me, why I think the Saints are in an incredible spot. Because if you look at these consecutive picks that Jordan Reed has on the board, Delane 8 to the Saints, Bain 9 to the Chiefs, and then Downs 10 to the Giants in the pick they got from Cincinnati in the trade for Dexter Lawrence. Any one of those, this is my point, any one of those 3 players, If New Orleans writes Mansour Delane, Ruben Bain, Caleb Downs on the card and turns it in, I'm pumped. Because you need an elite level corner. Talked about that for 2 years now as you've watched Paulson Adebo go to the Giants. Now you've seen Alontae Taylor leave in free agency. You drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I think is a good player, but not an elite number 1 corner. I think he's a very good number 2 corner. But you need your guy who, what Marshawn Lattimore was for this franchise for almost a decade. Whenever you go out there and you're playing Seattle and there's JSN, who's got him? Boom. It was for a decade, almost a decade, that was Marshawn Lattimore's job. He had Julio Jones. He had Mike Evans. Like that's your job. Go guard the other team's best guy. Like, I don't have confidence in Kool-Aid McKinstry's ability to do that. I think he's a very good starting corner. I don't think he's your number 1. Like, no one's going to put him in a category with Derek Stingley. So, can Mansour Delane be that? If you draft him 8th overall, you're drafting him to be that. If you decide to go Ruben Bain, great. If you're sold on him and the short arms, that's not an issue for you throughout your scouting and your evaluation, and you go Ruben Bain and you get an elite level edge rusher to play opposite Chase Young because Cam Jordan's old and might not be back in New Orleans, and you have a spot there for a guy that can be maybe a plug and play or a rotational guy as a rookie that's going to be an impact guy, maybe a player at that position for a long time for you. You have Carl Granderson, but Granderson had a really disappointing season this past year. And you pick Bain, fired up. Let's go. If you take Caleb Downs at 8 overall, and he might be one of the top 2-3 best players in this draft, regardless of position, and you get him at 8, and you have a guy that's a starting safety, a difference maker on the back end of your defense, awesome. I guess it's why I look at this draft and picking 8th feels like a really good spot. Because you have a lot of needs, and with the players that are going to come off the board ahead of you, knowing that Jeremiah Love's most likely going to come off the board, that Mendoza is going to come off the board. Even if one of the offensive tackles doesn't, which one of them likely will, you're going to have players that you covet that'll be there for you. So it's a really exciting prospect about going into this draft with that approach, knowing what's there. The one thing that I think will be a fascinating conversation that could unfold. Now, in neither of the mock drafts that we just went through, neither of those is a scenario because both of them had Carnell Tate coming off the board before the Saints picked, is what if Tate is there? What if you have the decision of going Carnell Tate or the elite defensive player? From my perspective, I think you look at 2 things. Number 1, which player do you have rated highest on your board? Is it Tate or is it one of the defensive players? Like if you have Tate as the 5th best player in the draft and you have Delane as 10 and Bain as 11 and Downs maybe as 7, do you take the guy you have as the 5th best player? Or do you go with the defensive guy because it's a deep receiver draft and you think you can get great value at receiver in round 2? Because this is what's interesting about this mock draft from Jordan Reed, right? It's a 7-round mock. So while he's got the Saints going cornerback with Mansour Delane there at 8, at 42, he's got the Saints taking Gabe Jacas, an edge from Illinois. So Saints apparently like him, and he's a guy that could very well be there, but that's back-to-back defense. So where do you go offense? Well, Jordan Reed has the Saints going offense in round 3 with Zachariah Branch, the wide receiver out of Georgia with the 73rd pick. Now, that would feel like great value. You had a speedster, a true, blow the top off deep threat in Zachariah Branch, who started at USC, went to Georgia, now going into the draft. But my question about Branch is one that I've brought up when you had Olave and Shaheed, and then went and signed Brandon Cooks. It's a bunch of dudes under 6 feet tall. I want a big, explosive target, which is why I think Carnell Tate is more intriguing. Which is why if I'm sitting there at 8 and I have the opportunity to get 6'2", 210-pound Carnell Tate who can fly and has size, that's where I'm going. If Tate's on the board. If Tate's not on the board, I'm good with whichever player they think is the best defensive player on the board in the draft at the time. I just pray. I pray that Jeremiah Love is off the board. You can roll your eyes, you can laugh, because I know they signed Achin. But I don't want Mickey Loomis tempted. And remember, the Saints restructured Alvin Kamara's contract with an eye on moving on from him this offseason. It's why they structured it the way that they did. And they may already be prepared to do that with the Achin deal. But go tempt them with Jeremiah Love at 8. Please, God, don't let that happen. You want to see me melt? You want to see a full-on red-faced scone rant? And I'm going to be, and by the way, Friday, I'll be doing my show at Zurich Classic. We do that every other Friday at Zurich at the Walk-Ons tent. You want to see a full-on rant? You can have a bunch of pros, a bunch of professional golfers on 17, par 3, at the green trying to putt while I'm yelling my face off. You will see full-on meltdown scone rant if somehow the Saints screw this up and end up taking Jeremiah Love. I kind of want that to happen just so I can do the rant. I don't want that to happen because I love my team and I want them to be successful. But I also would not be fall over stunned if Mickey Loomis did something that's stupid, like pay a running back $54 million and then go draft a running back in the top 10. It's after further review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, shutters and shades, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, it's after further review. Got 2 segments to go. Jimmy's here in 15 minutes for Otter Locks. LSU is keeping an eye on a commitment that is expected to come in about an hour or so. We'll talk about that as we continue here on AFR.
After further review.
Yeah, I know. It was 47 degrees this morning, which is just absurd. It's April 20th. Bring on the heat. Bring on River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Remember, big yellow vans and trucks all over town. You see them everywhere. Giant clock on the side. It's River City's 1 hour air. If you have not yet had your preseason AC tune-up, it's time. If you didn't do it last year, or you can't remember the last time, don't just ignore it, pretending like it's not going to be a problem. Oh, we're fine. This is how little issues compound and become very big, very expensive issues. It's preventative maintenance. You wouldn't drive across the country without getting your oil changed, your tires rotated. Don't go through the summer without getting your AC checked. River City's 1 hour air.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
All we do is pour it out all night, drink sounds. That's all we do. And all we do is light it up all night. All you see is strange clouds.
Big story over the weekend. Cincinnati Bengals trading the 10th overall pick to the Giants for Dexter Lawrence. It's interesting because the Giants had kind of had Dexter Lawrence. They were shopping him to see what they were going to be able to get, and they finally, here the week of the draft, found a trading partner. And Lawrence is certainly an accomplished defensive lineman. He's 28 years old. Of course, he's out of Southern Cal, and he has been massively disruptive. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's 2-time second-team All-Pro. He had a 9.5 sack season. Forgive me, I said something out of Clemson. Forgive me, sorry. He was the he was on the All-Rookie team. I mean, he's a dominant interior player. So I know there's a lot of people looking at this, and everyone, whenever we look at a trade, you always want to look and say, well, who won the trade? And it's incomplete because we don't know what the Giants are going to do with the pick. But I think what this is illustrative of is two organizations that are just very different positions. The Cincinnati Bengals picking 10th. Typically, if you're picking 10th, it's because you stink and you're not competitive. Well, the Bengals, you put a big asterisk next to it because the reason they stunk this past year is because their franchise quarterback got hurt. But Cincinnati is looking at their organization right now with a quarterback in whom they invested $500 million, and they're trying to win a championship in that window with Joe Burrow in his prime. And their defense last year was an atrocity. And Trey Hendrickson is gone now, and so they need immediate impact guys. Well, look at it this way. If you are trying to win right now with your starting quarterback, who's coming off an injury that cost him the chunk of the season, a year after he was a legitimate MVP candidate, are you more likely to find an immediate impact guy by selecting 10th overall, not knowing what player is going to be available there to you, or going with a certainty of a disruptive 6'4", 340-pound interior defensive lineman who has already had a 9.5 sack season from his interior defensive line position, who's in his physical prime, has 2 years left on his contract. You make the deal, then you extend him a year, so he has 3 years left, so you have him into his age 31-year season. Like, what is going to help you win in 2026? An unknown with the 10th pick, or a proven disruptive interior defensive lineman at 28 years old? It's pretty obvious. That 10th overall pick might be a better long-term value, depending if you hit. But Dexter Lawrence, if you're Cincinnati, has a better chance of helping you win in 2026. Flip it. If you're the Giants, you've had Dexter Lawrence on your team, and you stink. You've got a young quarterback entering his second year in the NFL. You have a new head coach, new organizational structure, and you need to build around your young quarterback. Well, what's going to give you more value? A 28-year-old interior defensive lineman who has 2 years left on his contract, or the opportunity to get a second top 10 pick in this draft. So now you can get 2 top 10 players who effectively become 2 starting players for you on rookie deals that become more affordable because inevitably soon you're going to have to end up paying your starting quarterback. They both work. Both make sense. I don't think either team lost. Now, the onus is on the Giants to make good on that pick, to use the 5th and the 10th pick to address needs and get value and get starting players that are going to grow into this organization with a new head coach and a young quarterback. Similarly, it's on Dexter Lawrence to make the Bengals look smart in getting him by helping improve a defense, which was atrocious a year ago, and helping that franchise get back to a Super Bowl under Joe Burrow, which is why they made this trade. I mean, we existed in this reality for half a decade in New Orleans with Drew Brees, where the Saints were in perennial, we talked about it, they were in perennial win now mode. Brees was nearing the end. That window was closing. They were singularly focused on, we're not worried about the future. We're not worried about the salary cap. We're just worried about putting the best team around Drew Brees possible to help him win another championship before he rides off into the sunset. And boy, they got close. And they had some miserable luck in the postseason and had some absolutely rip your heart out and stomp on it on the ground losses. It didn't happen. But they were all in. That's where the Bengals are. The Bengals are all in the immediacy to try to win with Joe Burrow. They've seen him be injured already several times. Before that window with Joe Burrow closes, a guy they got $500 million invested in, they want to give him the best chance to win. Well, how do you do that? Well, they had to rebuild the offensive line, which they spent a couple of years doing, and they were better last year. And now you got to go improve your defense, which was one of the worst in the NFL last year. This helps you, in theory, improve immediately on your defense. So I get it. I get why both teams are interested in this trade. For the New Orleans Saints, it's why we talked earlier, where there's this idea rolling around. It was, some Arizona guy reported that the Saints and Cardinals have talked about the Saints moving up from 8 to 3. I'm not in favor of that, because the deal that was proposed was the Saints giving up the 8th pick, the 42nd pick, and the 73rd pick. So they're 1, 2, and 3 to move up to the 3rd pick in the draft. And maybe you get an impact guy, but that's one player. I'd rather get 3 impact players on a roster on a team that you are rebuilding, and you need to rebuild with young, inexpensive players for the draft. I would rather keep those 3 picks and hopefully hit on 3 starting caliber players, contributing caliber players, than 1. Just me. We'll see how it plays out this week. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Hey, y'all, Mother's Day Gents is just around the bend. For all the reasons that mom deserves our love, respect, admiration, show her on Mother's Day with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All the carpool runs, all the dinners she's cooked, the super mom that she is, maybe working and taking care of the kids at home and everything that moms do, show her this Mother's Day. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and always online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Just a heads up, something to be on the lookout for. Braylon Calais, the athlete out of Cecilia, is set to make his announcement. He's set to make his commitment here within the next hour and a half, sometime between 6:30, 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. He's set to announce. Calais, if you're not familiar, 6'2", 200-pound athlete out of Cecilia, does project as a wide receiver at the next level, and he's going to be making his college announcement, and it is thought to be LSU as the choice. Shea Dixon was with us on Tuesday for our weekly recruiting segment. This is what Shea said about Calais.
One of my favorite players in Louisiana in this class, and he's a top 10 kid in Louisiana, ranked as a top 5 athlete by Rivals, the industry rankings, in this 2027 class. Top 125 overall player in the country, regardless of position. And LSU likes him at receiver. He's got a final 6, is what he told Hayes Fawcett. It's been an LSU Ole Miss battle, and it's a benefit to LSU, yes, mostly that he's from Louisiana, but that now the staff that's recruiting him, George McDonald, the receivers coach, Lane, they were already recruiting him while at Ole Miss. He's talked about that relationship just becoming a lot stronger. Ole Miss, Frank Wilson, they want him badly. I can't see this one not going LSU's way right now.
So Shea predicted Calais to LSU. The commitment is coming up this evening. It is interesting if you look at Braylon Calais' primary recruiters when he was at Ole Miss. His primary recruiter was George McDonald. The secondary recruiter was Charlie Weiss. Well, both George McDonald and Charlie Weiss are now at LSU. So you have the sort of double whammy of a guy that is an Under Armour All-American who is from Louisiana, has the LSU offer, and the staff that he really liked at Ole Miss is now at LSU. Hard to think this goes any way other than LSU. And remember last week, Lane Kiffin did put out the little tiger emoji, which sort of signifies a commitment. It stands to reason this is what he was pointing towards. So Tigers got a commitment on Friday from a receiver for the class of 2027, and they may very well add a second receiver commit for the class of 2027. So if, in fact, Calais does pull the trigger, we'll talk about it in more detail tomorrow. Shea will be here on Tuesday's show for his weekly visit. We'll recap. It was a busy recruiting weekend. There were a dozen official visitors on campus, a lot of really big-time offensive line prospects, but a big opportunity for LSU to keep one of the top prospects in the state of Louisiana, the number 6 prospect in the state for the class of 2027. Braylon Calais, again, going to commit this evening, so be on the lookout. When that news does become official, we'll have it for you over at LouisianaSports.net, where, of course, everything is always free, LouisianaSports.net. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of the show. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Come back. Jimmy will be here for Out of Locks. We'll find out what we're betting on tonight. Stick around for AFR.
AFR.
Okay, you got about a week left, a little more than a week left, to enter the Gordon's Grads laptop giveaway. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney is giving away 15 laptops or MacBooks to graduating Louisiana high school seniors that are going to a 2 or 4 year college or a trade school. It's really easy if you want to enter. Go to gordonsgrads.com, gordonsgrads.com. One more time, gordonsgrads.com. Go to the website. You see all the info on how you can enter. There's multiple ways that you can enter, but maybe it's your son or daughter. Maybe it's you. Maybe lots of young people love the show. Thanks for being out there. But maybe it's your son or daughter, niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter, friend, neighbor. If you know a graduating Louisiana high school senior, make sure they're aware of the Gordon's Grads program and how they can win a laptop to give them sort of a leg up as they go on to the next phase of their academic career. GordonsGrads.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do. Find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Auto Locks.
Auto Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up? Yo, Otter, what up?
What's up, Matthew?
Another day, another dollar, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. Had a good weekend. Good weekend.
Love to hear that. NBA playoffs are here. Watched the Magic and the Pistons last night. It was a good game.
Right.
The benefit of hitting with your pick at the top of the draft, right? With Cunningham and Boncaro.
Yes. Yeah, that helps. So, it's the Magic is the only real story of the first weekend because all the other games were won by the home teams. 9 out of 10, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, won and cut straight up and against the spread by the home teams. And, finally in the ninth game, it was Orlando. So Orlando was the dog on Friday night. We had them on Friday on the show. And first 1-8 matchup where the one seed never led for the first game. Never led at any point in the game. Let's go to it tonight. We're going to go back to one where we had on Saturday. I gave it out to Knicks. Love this matchup for the Knicks. We laid the 5.5. They covered easily, won by double digits. And Karl Anthony Towns, the biggest headache for the Hawks, kind of played okay. Final box score is fine, but he's going to have a monster night again tonight. He was lukewarm and still put up like 25 and 12. Take the Knicks minus the 6.5 against the Hawks. I am seeing some sixes creeping around right now, so a little bit of movement before tip, about an hour and 10 minutes out. The other game is Minnesota and Denver. Minnesota, this game was actually 2 very late in the game before Denver pulled away. Minnesota actually had a first half double-digit lead. We think they can match up with them, although Anthony Edwards is less than 100%. We're taking the T-Wolves plus the 7.5 in that one for your 2 NBA games.
Okay. And a couple on the diamond?
Yeah, one of the more disappointing teams in Major League Baseball, the Royals, but we're going to go with them because the centenary gent product, Mr. Seth Lugo's on the mound, and he is doing all they could. It's a buy low spot here at home, minus 105 against the Orioles. We have a losing record as well at 10 and 12. We're going to take the Royals minus 102. And then the last pick we have...
Angels.
The Angels. One of my favorite new teams to bet this year. Right around 500, but that lineup is really good. Trout is on fire. Adele is busting out, man. The third baseman who bats cleanup is really good. Good pitcher tonight. We're going to take them at a very short price at home tonight. The Angels on the money line.
Angels are, it's actually moved a bit, Otter. Minus 105 now. When gave it on the side, it was at plus 100. So, still a good number. So, but action moving toward the Angels there. Where are you tomorrow?
We're at Mike Anderson's, the Burnside Salad. Yes, indeed.
Never a bad option. All right, 4 plays tonight. The Knicks and the T-Wolves on the hardwood, Angels and Royals on the diamond. Thank you, Otter.
Good luck.
All right, man. Thanks. We'll see you. It's After Further Review. Always love telling you about Evermore. EVAMOR. Been a great partner. Great Louisiana company. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. You want to find where great local retailers, where you can buy Evermore near you, even if you're outside of Louisiana. It's a product with national distribution. I've had AFR listeners, LSU alums, grads who live all over the country tell me, hey, man, I hear you talk about Evermore when I listen or watch on YouTube. Popped into the local, whatever, grocery store, 7-Eleven, and saw Evermore. Yeah, national distribution, and it's bottled right there in Covington on the North Shore. It's where that natural artesian well is. The bottling plant's built around the well. You pull onto the property, you see it right there. It's a healthier alternative. It's natural artesian water. The source matters, as they say. So check it out. Buy it online, evermore.com. Find the great local retailer where you can find Evermore. EVAMOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. All right, y'all, just about going to do it for us here today. We gave you our LSU football scrimmage recap from Saturday. Talked about the Saints, the rumors about them possibly trading up with Cardinals. J-Boy, Jake Crane was here last hour. David Dellucci just a bit ago as well. And we're keeping an eye tonight on Braylon Calais. In just about a half an hour or so, expect to announce his commitment. We are anticipating it will be LSU. Shea will be here on the show tomorrow. LSU's back on the practice field. 3 practices to go in spring. It is open availability for the media, so be there. Lane Kiffin speaks to reporters tomorrow, so a ton of LSU football on Tuesday's AFR, so we'll look for you there. All right, just about going to do it for us as we get on down the road. Muse Pauly, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. Shout out to Relief Windows as always. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
And as we get on down the road, we remind you about Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, OLOLRMC.com/LSU, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU together, we roar. Our Lady of the Lake's been such an amazing partner of not only LSU Athletics, but LSU as a whole. Announced last week, the ribbon cutting on the new science facility there on LSU's campus in partnership with Our Lady of the Lake and FMOL Health. And, of course, all across Louisiana, nearly everybody in our state, be it at one of the hospitals, clinics, urgent cares, whatever it may be, is touched by Our Lady of the Lake and chooses the lake. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. That's where you can learn more information about the Championship Health Partnership. But you don't have to be a world-class athlete at LSU. Everyday champions like you and me trust the lake for our health. I'm in that number, and you should be as well. You can learn more. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar.